Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, December 1st, 2021. Amazingly, December already, I know. We'll recap last night's college basketball, NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer playoff games, look ahead to everything that is going on tonight. We'll touch on the news and notes. We'll preview tonight's Group A finale of the Masked Singer and my best bet of the day. We'll start right off with college basketball. We will go over the results, and we will look ahead to tonight's games. Butler over Sac State, 68-57. Butler is now 5-3. Radford over Kentucky Christian, 79-70. Radford is now 4-4. Number 13, Tennessee over Presbyterian, 86-44. Tennessee 5-1, Presbyterian 5-3. Number 17, UConn over UMass, 72-63. Connecticut 7-1. UMass 2-5. Kent State over Point Park 107-41. Kent's 4-2. VMI over Summit 88-40. VMI is 4-4. Chattanooga over Tennessee Tech 82-65. Chattanooga 6-1. Tennessee Tech 2-5. Furman over High Point 74-70 in double overtime. Furman 5-2. High Point 3-4. Campbell over Lancaster Bible 83-39. Campbell is 6-1. Mount St. Mary over Howard 72-70. Mount St. Mary 3-5. Howard 4-4. Northeastern over Detroit 66-56. Detroit drops to 0-6. Northeastern's 4-4. Greensboro over Alon 74-61. Greensboro 7-2. Alon 2-6. Delaware over LIU 75-67. UDEL 5-3. LIU 1-5. Georgetown over Longwood 91-83. Georgetown 3-3. Longwood 4-4. East Carolina over Old Dominion 63-62. East Carolina 6-2. Old Dominion 3-5. A&M over New Orleans 85-65. A&M 7-1. New Orleans 3-5. Davidson over Charlotte 75-58. Davidson 5-2. Charlotte 3-3. NJIT over Sacred Heart 75-70. NJIT 3-3. Sacred Heart 2-5. Syracuse over Indiana 112-110 in double overtime. That's like an NBA score. Syracuse 5-3 or 4-3. Indiana 6-1. Minnesota over Pitt 54-53. Minnesota 6-0. Pitt 2-5. West Virginia over Bellarmine 74-55. West Virginia 6-1. Bellarmine 2-6. Siena over Army 83-67. Siena 2-5. Army 4-3. Manhattan over Fairleigh Dickinson 78-73. Manhattan 5-1. Dickinson 0-6. Number 2 Purdue over Florida State 93-65. Purdue 7-0. Florida State 5-2. Charleston over Tulane 81-77. Charleston 5-2. Tulane 2-5. Ole Miss over Rider 75-51. Ole Miss 5-2. Rider 3-6. Number 15 Houston over Northwestern State 99-58. Houston 6-1. Northwestern 1-7. Western Kentucky over Rhodes 105-35. WK is 4-3. Sanford over Mississippi College 83-58. Sanford 6-1. Texas State over Rice 80-69. Texas State 5-2. Rice 4-4. South Dakota State over Prairie View 99-90. South Dakota State 7-2. Prairie View 0-8. SO Edwardsville over Omaha 75-65. SO Edwardsville 3-5. Omaha 1-6. North Dakota over Presentation 72-55. North Dakota's 3-5. Texas State over Vestetta 99-61. Dixie's 2-5. Marquette over Jackson State 83-54. Marquette 7-1. Jackson State 1-6. St. Louis over Boise State 86-82 in overtime. St. Louis 7-1. Boise 3-4. New Mexico over New Mexico State 101-94. New Mexico 5-3. New Mexico State 5-4. Santa Clara over Hawaii 70-58. Santa Clara 6-2. Hawaii 3-3. Wake over Northwestern 77-73 in overtime. Wake 7-1. Northwestern 5-2. Rutgers over Clemson 74-64. Rutgers 4-3. Clemson 5-3. Creighton over North Dakota State 80-55. Creighton 7-1. North Dakota State 4-3. Ohio State over number 1 Duke 71-66. Ohio State's 5-2. Duke 7-1. San Jose State over South Dakota 61-52. San Jose State 3-3. South Dakota 4-3. San Diego State over Long Beach State 72-47. San Diego State 5-2. Long Beach State 2-5. And Nevada over Pepperdine 79-66. Nevada 4-4. Pepperdine 2-7. Now we move on to today. 5 o'clock, Warren Wilson, West Carolina, we can skip. 6 o'clock, NC Central and South Carolina Upstate. My projection for this game is Central by 3 3/4. And this game is Upstate by 2.5 total, 136.5. I'm taking Central plus the points and plus 128 straight up. The Citadel in Asheville. My projection is Asheville 7.5. That's a 6:30 game. And it's 1.5. I'm going to lay the points at Asheville. In total, by the way, is 149.5. American Stony Brook. My projection is Stony Brook 9.5. It's 8.5. Total is 141.5. I'm going to jump on the over. Central Michigan and Xavier. My projection is Xavier 27. And it's 25.5. Total is 143.5. This game's on Fox Sports 1. I'm jumping on the over. Villanova Penn. My projection is Nova 15.25. This is a 7 o'clock game. And it's 18.5 and 139.5. I'm going to take Penn in the points. Wagner number 25, Seton Hall, and Fox Sports 2. My projection is Seton Hall by 16 and 7/8. Meanwhile, this game is Seton Hall giving 15, totals 135. I'm going to take the over. Dartmouth, Vermont. My projection is Vermont 9.5. And Vermont for some reason I don't see this game on FanDuel. It is Vermont 11.5, total 121.5. I'm going to take Dartmouth in the points. Lehigh, Yale. My projection is Yale by 19.25. And Yale's giving 11.5. I'm laying it with Yale. Princeton, Hofstra. My projection is Princeton by 1.75. And Princeton is a 4.5 point underdog. Total is 147.5. I'm taking Princeton plus the points and whatever the money line is. Georgia Southern, Moorhead State. My projection is Moorhead by 17.5. And this line is 12.5 and 142.5. I'm laying it with Moorhead. Fort Valley State and Florida A&M we can skip. Tennessee Martin, Middle Tennessee. My projection is Middle by 6.25. And it's 12.5, totals 142.5. I'm taking Martin in the points. Stetson, FAU. My projection is FAU 3.5. And FAU is where's that line is the question. There it is, 4.5 and 138.5. I'm gonna take the over. Bucknell, St. Francis, PA. My projection is Bucknell by 7.5. And Bucknell is, let's see here, Bucknell. St. Francis, PA is giving 4.5, totals 152.5. That is so wrong. It's not even funny. I'm taking Bucknell the points in, whatever they are, to win outright. That is just as bad as a line as I've seen. Holy Cross in Central Connecticut. My projection is Holy Cross by 9. And it is Central Con 2.5, totals 138.5. I'm taking Holy Cross in the points in, plus 114 on the money line. Next up is William & Mary and Navy. My projection is Navy 13.75. And it's 13.5, totals 131.5. I'll take the over. Norfolk State and UNC Wilmington. My projection for this game is Norfolk by 6.5, and Wilmington's actually favored in this game by 2.5. Totals 138.5. I'm taking Norfolk plus the points and plus 130 to win on the money line. South Carolina and Coastal Carolina. My projection is South Carolina by 9, and it's 6.5 and 140.5. I'm going to lay it with South Carolina. Cincinnati and Miami of Ohio. My projection is Cincinnati by 5.5, and Cincinnati is, I can't find that. Oh, here it is. 3.5 and 138.5. I'm laying it with Cincinnati. I really like that pick. Richmond Wofford. My projection is Richmond by 3 3/4. And Richmond is favored by 1.5. Totals 144.5. I'm going to lay it with Richmond. LaSalle Temple. My projection is Temple by 12.25, and it's 6.5 and 135.5. I'm going to lay it with Temple. BU and George Washington. My projection is BU by 6.25. And this line is BU 1.5. Totals 131.5. I'm going to lay it with BU. Chicago State and Loyola Maryland. My projection is Loyola 10 3/4. And this line is 14.5 and 134.5. I'm going to take it Chicago State in the points. Rhode Island, Harvard. My projection is Harvard by 4 3/4. And this line is Rhode Island 2.5, total 140.5. I'm taking Harvard plus 2.5 and plus 118 to win straight up. St. Francis, Brooklyn, and Fordham. My projection is Fordham by a whopping 15. And Fordham is favored by 8.5, totals 138.5. I'm laying it with Fordham. Brown and UMass Lowell. My projection is Lowell by 2. And this line is, I would assume that this is Lowell favored, but there's a chance Brown's favored. And no, Lowell's favored by 1.5, totals 132.5. I'll take the over. Columbia and UMBC. My projection is UMBC by 11 3/4. And it's 12.5 and 144.5. I'll take the under. I think that's an under game. Alabama State and Dayton. My projection is Dayton by 25 3/4. And Dayton's favored by 19.5, totals 136.5. I'll lay with Dayton. Binghamton and St. Joe's. My projection is St. Joe's by 11.25. And St. Joe's is favored by 9.5, totals 144.5. I kind of like the under in that game as well. Coppin and St. Bonaventure. My projection is Bonaventure by a whopping 33. And Bonaventure is favored in this game by 23.5, totals 137.5. I'm going to lay it with Bonaventure. Mercer and Kennesaw State. My projection is Mercer by 3. And it's 4.5, totals 142.5. I'm going to take the over. Florida Gulf Coast and FIU. My projection is Gulf Coast by 3/4. And this line is FIU by 1.5, totals 141.5. I'm going to take Gulf Coast minus 102 on the money line and plus 1.5 and minus 115. Southern Illinois and Evansville. My projection is Southern Illinois by 2 3/4. And it is 1.5 and 121.5. That is such a low total. I'm taking the over. Iona and Marist. My projection is Iona by 8 3/4. And it's 7.5 and 132.5. I'll take the over. Iona's offense can do that by themselves. Western Illinois, I project as a 9-point favorite over Ball State. And this line is Western by 4.5, totals 154.5. I'm going to lay with Western. Bowling Green and Duquesne, my projection is Duquesne by 1 3/4, and it's 4.5 and 145.5. I'm taking Bowling Green into points. Marshall, Akron, my projection is Marshall by 2 1/4. And it is 1.5 and 146.5. I'm going to take the over. Memphis, Georgia, my projection is number 18 Memphis, I should say, and it's on the SEC Network. My projection is Memphis 11.5, and it's 12.5, and the total is 145.5. I like the over a lot in that game. Here's a good one. Louisville at number 22, Michigan State on ESPN. My projection is Sparty by 2 3/4, and it's 4.5 and 133.5. It needs to go to 5 for me to bet Louisville, but I do like the over. ESPN, Nebraska, NC State. My projection is State by 4 1/4, and it's 6.5 and 146.5. I'm actually going to take Nebraska in the points here. I never take Nebraska. ESPN 2, Virginia Tech, Maryland. My projection is Maryland by 3.5, and it's Virginia Tech 1.5, totals 131.5. Wrong team's favor. I'm taking Maryland plus the 1.5 and minus 128, and then minus 110 straight up. So it's technically a pick 'em. 7:30, Lincoln, California, and Stephen F. Austin, we could skip. Our Lady, Incarnate Word, we could skip. Sanitary, Louisiana, UL Monroe, we could skip. Boise, App State, we could skip. Texas, Southern Louisiana Tech. My projection is Louisiana Tech by 15.5. And it's 10.5 and 141.5. I'm going to lay it with La Tech. Hartford, Winthrop. My projection is Winthrop 15, and it's 11.5, totals 148.5. I'm going to lay it with Winthrop. East Tennessee State and UAB. My projection is UAB by 6 1/4. And it's 10.5 and 135.5. I'm going to take East Tennessee State in the points. Pac-12 Network Conference game, Wazoo, Arizona State. My projection is Arizona State by 1/4, and it's Wazoo by 1.5. But the question is enough for me to bet on Zona State? And it's not. I'll take them on the money line and even money. But my actual podcast play, I'm actually going to go, that's a tough one. That's a high number, but I'll still take the over. 8 o'clock, Central Arkansas, number 10, Arkansas. My projection is Arkansas by 28 1/4. And this line is 3.5 and 149.5. And it's enough for me to bet on Central, so I'm going to take Central in the points. Florida, Oklahoma. Number 14, Florida at Oklahoma. My projection is Oklahoma by 3/4. And it's Oklahoma by 1.5, totals 135.5. I hate that Oklahoma is favored. I'll take them on the money line, minus 115, but the podcast play will be the over. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and number 19, Iowa State. My projection is Iowa State by 32.5. And 28.5 and 137.5. I'm going to lay with Iowa State. UCF, Auburn. I should say number 21, Auburn. My projection is Auburn 8.5. And Auburn is giving 9.5, totals 142.5. I'm going to take the over. Dallas University and Abilene Christian, we can skip. Southern Miss and South Alabama. My projection is South Alabama by 9 1/4. And it's 6.5 and 134.5. I'm going to lay with South Alabama. Wichita State, Oklahoma State. That's an intriguing game. My projection is Wichita by 1/4. And Oklahoma State's here by 6.5. I'm taking Wichita plus 6.5 and plus 220 on the money line. I love that pick. UNLV and SMU. My projection is SMU by 13 3/4. And it is SMU giving 6.5 totals, 137.5. I'm going to lay it with SMU. A&M Corpus Christi and Texas Rio Grande. My projection is Rio Grande by 5 3/4. And it's 6.5 and 147.5. I'll take the over. Albany and Kansas State. My projection is Kansas State by 13 1/4. And it is Kansas State giving 18.5 totals, 129.5. I'm taking Albany in the points. Missouri Valley Conference games are underway now. Northern Iowa, Bradley. My projection is Northern Iowa by 3 3/4. And it's 4.5 and 136.5. I'm going to take the under. Missouri State and Illinois State. My projection is Missouri State by 9 3/4. And it is Missouri State by 6.5 totals, 151.5. I'm going to lay it with Missouri State. Indiana State and Loyola Chicago. My projection is Loyola by 20. And it is 18.5 and 142.5. I'll take the over because of Loyola. Ohio and LSU. My projection is LSU by 10 3/4, and it's 12.5 and 144.5. I'll take the over. Eastern Illinois and Northern Illinois. My projection is Eastern Illinois by 1 1/4. And it is Northern by 6.5 totals, 130.5. I'll take Eastern plus a 6.5 and plus 255 on the money line. 8:30 Russ Troy. We can skip. Fox Sports 1 Texas Tech Providence. My projection is Tech by 1/4. And it is Tech by 3 total, 136.5. I'm taking Providence plus the 3. I don't know if they'll win outright or not, but I'm going to say they will. So plus 128. 9 o'clock, number 12 BYU and Utah Valley. My projection is BYU by 11 1/4. And it's 13.5 and 138.5. I'm taking Valley plus those 13.5. MVS North Alabama. My projection is North Alabama by 25.5. And it's 22.5. I'm going to lay it. Little Rock, Colorado State. My projection is Cal State by 18. It's 20.5. I'm actually going to take Little Rock in the points. Bethesda, Dixie, we can skip. Pacific, UC Davis. My projection is Davis 4.5, and it's Pacific 1.5 totals 135.5. I'm taking Davis plus the 1.5 and even money on the money line. 9:15, number 23, Wisconsin and Georgia Tech. My projection is Georgia Tech by 2.5, and it's Wisconsin by 4. I'm taking Tech plus the 4 plus 158 on the money line. Michigan. Number 24, Michigan at UNC on ESPN. My projection is UNC by 2.5. It's Michigan by 1.5, totals 150.5. I'm taking Carolina as a home dog, plus 1.5 and even money on the money line. ESPNU, Miami, Florida, and Penn State. My projection is Miami by 3/4. And it's Penn State by 4.5, totals 135.5. I'm taking Miami plus the 4.5 and plus 176 on the money line. 9:30 Pac-12 Network, Colorado, and number 5 UCLA. My projection is UCLA by 10 1/4. And it's 13.5 and totals 140.5. I'm taking Colorado in the points. 10 o'clock UC Riverside and Oregon. My projection is Oregon by 13 3/4. And it's 12.5 and 128.5. I'll take the over. San Diego and Fresno State. My projection is Fresno 8.5. And it's 5.5. I'm going to lay with Fresno. Weekdays, Seattle. My projection is Seattle 14. It's 13.5 totals, 145.5. I'll take the over. And last but not least, 11:30 Pac-12 Network, Utah, number 20 USC. My projection is SC by 13 1/4. And it's 7.5 totals, 136.5. And I will take USC minus the points. All right, college basketball's done. Now we'll move on to the NBA. We will recap last night's games and we will look ahead to tonight's games. Nets over the Knicks, 112-110. Grizz over the Raptors, 98-91. Suns over the Warriors, 106-96. Blazers over the Pistons, 110-92. And the Lakers over the Kings, 117-92. All right, now we look ahead to tonight's games. 7 o'clock, you have the Hawks and the Pacers. My projection is Hawks by a half. I didn't do total stay because I didn't have the time to do them. And it's Indy by 1.5, totals 217.5. I'll take the Hawks plus 1.5 and even money straight up. Nuggets Magic, my projection is Denver 10.25, and it is 8.5 and 207.5. It's not high enough for me to bet Orlando. Or I'm sorry, to bet Denver. But I'll take the over. Wolves Wiz. My projection is Wiz 7.75. And it's Wiz by 3. I'm going to lay the 3 with the Wizards. 7:30 NBA TV, 76ers Celtics. My projection is Boston 8.75. And it is 2.5 and 210.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Celtics. Cavs Heat. My projection is Miami 12.75. And it is the Heat by 7.5 totals to a 4.5 LA with Miami. Hornets Bucks. My projection is Bucks 7.75. And it is 8.5 totals to 29.5. I'll take. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with the under only because of potential injuries and stuff. I think that's high. Mavs Pelicans. My projection is the Mavs by 10. And it's 3.5. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Dallas. Rockets Thunder at 8 o'clock as well. Projection is Thunder 7.5, and it is 3 and 213. I'm going to lay the 3 with the Thunder. And last but not least, 10:30 NBA TV, Kings Clippers. My projection is the Clips by 11 and 7.5. I will lay the 7.5 with the Clips. Now we'll move on to the NHL. We'll recap last night's games, and we will look ahead to a smaller window for tonight. Red Wings over the Bruins 2-1. Panthers over the Caps 5-4. Sharks over the Devils 5-2. Blues over the Lightning 4-3 in a shootout. Preds over the Blue Jackets 6-0. Wild over the Coyotes 5-2. Stars over the Canes 4-1. And the Ducks over the Kings 5-4 in a shootout. Islanders Flyers was postponed due to the Islanders COVID situation. Actually, 6 games tonight. More games than I thought there was going to be. 7 o'clock you have the Flyers and the Rangers from the Garden. You would think the Rangers are favored here. -192. Wow. Philly plus 158 over under 6. Overs -108. Unders -112. Philly plus 1.5 is -164. Rangers -1.5 is plus 134. I'm going to go with the Rangers in regulation at -120. I know it's juiced, but I think that's the right call. 7:30 Avs Leafs. The projection, or I'm sorry, no projection here. It's Toronto -134, -132. Colorado plus 110 over under 6. Overs -108, unders -112. Colorado plus 1.5 is -235. Leafs -1.5 is plus 186. I'm gonna go with the Avs as a short dog here. They're better than what they've shown so far. Canucks Senators. Vancouver -120. Ottawa even money over under 5.5. Overs -112. Unders -108. Vancouver -1.5 is plus 210. Ottawa plus 1.5 is -265. I'm going to go with the draw at 3-1 in this game. Kraken Red Wings. It's a pick of -110 each way. Over under 5.5. Overs -120. Unders -102. Kraken -1.5 is plus 235. Red Wings plus 1.5 is -210. So the Kraken are favored on the puck line, but I'm going to go with the Red Wings -110 at home. 10 o'clock TNT, Pens Oilers, great game. Edmonton -125, Pittsburgh plus 104 over under 6.5. Overs -105, unders -115. Pittsburgh plus 1.5 is -250. Edmonton -1.5 is plus 198. I'm going to go with the Pens here as the dog, plus 104. I just think that Pittsburgh's playing well right now. And then Golden Knights Ducks. Vegas minus 154, Anaheim plus 128, over under 5.5, minus 110 each way. Vegas minus 1.5 is plus 176. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 220. The Ducks are going really strong right now. I'm not betting against the Ducks yet, so I'm taking the Ducks plus 128 at home against the Golden Knights. All right, now we'll move on to Major League Soccer. There's a fantastic playoff game last night in New England, but the team that came out on top was NYCFC by a penalty kicks, 5-3. It was just a fantastic game. They actually scored in the third minute of the game. Santiago Rodriguez scored in the third minute of the game to give NYCFC the lead. Then Adam Bosca in the 9th minute ties it at 1. Valentin Castellanos in the 109th minute gives NYCFC the go-ahead goal. And then 4 minutes later, he gets red carded. Then Tajan Bachman in the 118th minute ties it at 2. And then we go to penalty kicks. Alfredo Morales, good. Carlos Gil, good. Thiago, good. Adam Bosca, no good. Ismael Tajori, good. Teal Bunbury, good. Maxime Morales, good. DeJohn Jones, good. And then for the win, Alexander Callens, good. So NYCFC wins, and they'll take on the Philadelphia Union on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. All right, now we're going to do news and notes. Going to try to be quick with news and notes, but not a lot today either. So the Suns, as we know, are on a 17-game win streak after last night's win against the Warriors. Devin Booker, no loss November, as he says on Twitter, after injuring himself during the game yesterday. He had soreness in his hamstring. That was a very impressive Suns win last night. The big story from yesterday, though, LeBron and COVID protocols. He missed last night's game against the Kings. And he'll be sidelined for 10 days unless he returns 2 negative test results in a 24-hour span. No surgery for Jalen Suggs on his fractured right thumb, and he'll be evaluated in 2 weeks. Coach K on the upset loss to Ohio State. We were worn out. I thought they wore us out. They're well coached. They're well balanced. The Yankees, I went on a little rampage on the show yesterday about them, but they're apparently interested in Freddie Freeman. But they also acknowledge that the Braves might not let him get away. And the Yankees also tenured Gary Sanchez. It's his final year before hitting free agency. I think that's the right call. What realistic upgrade is there was my question. And they're all trade candidates rather than free agency. So the new college football playoff rankings came out last night. As we know, number 1's Georgia. Michigan jumps to 2 after the upset of Ohio State. 3 will be Alabama, 4 Cincinnati, 5 Oklahoma State, 6 Notre Dame, 7 Ohio State, 8 Ole Miss, 9 Baylor, 10 Oregon, 11 Michigan State, 12 BYU, 13 Iowa, 14 Oklahoma, 15 Pitt, 16 Wake, 17 Utah, 18 NC State, 19 San Diego State, 20 Clemson, 21 Houston, 22 Arkansas, 23 Kentucky, 24 Louisiana, and 25 Texas A&M. Good for the Raging Cajuns for getting in there. Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator of Michigan, says that Ohio State isn't tough. They're a finesse team. They're not a tough team. Oof. College football playoff chair Gary Barta says Brian Kelly's departure could be a factor in the final playoff rankings. Oof. So they're going to punish Notre Dame because their coach left? That's not fair. So Daniel Jones is considered week to week with neck issues, so Mike Lennon is supposed to start against the Dolphins. It's a neck strain. And the Giants signed Jake Fromm to their practice squad. Rays trade Joey Wendell to the Marlins for Cameron Misner. I like that deal for Tampa. And Misner's a good prospect. If I'm not mistaken, he was a second-round pick. And Wendell's a good, role player. So, the Marlins get themselves, a utility type of player for him. So Oklahoma's losing commits left and right. They lost a 5-star prospect, Mekhi Lemon, the quarterback. And guess what? He's going to USC. Of course he is. He wants to follow Lincoln Riley. Jack Hughes signs 8 years, $64 million extension with the Devils. That's crazy. That they paid him this quick. So we'll see if he lives up to that contract. Tiger Woods says he's lucky to be alive and says that the leg amputation was on the table in first public comment since the car crash in February. Urban Meyer not eyeing college football jobs, as he has no interest in talking to other college jobs and remains committed to rebuilding the Jaguars. Christian McCaffrey not on the trade block despite another season-ending injury. Cubs signed Yan Gomes 2 years, $13 million, and they also signed Clint Frazier on a 1-year deal as well. We talked about that Tampa traded Joey Wendell, but Kevin Kiermaier is also another player that's on the block. The Mets are not done yet, apparently, as they're still looking to add another starter and one more bat. That's wild. Keep an eye out for that. If that's the case, they might as well win the NL East. Major League Baseball used 2 types of baseballs. As 2 types of balls were of different weight and bounciness were secretly used last season. And the non-sports news story, CNN's Chris Cuomo indefinitely suspended in wake of revelations he helped his brother out for. You knew this one was coming. You knew CNN was going to punish Chris Cuomo somehow, some way. It's the right thing to do. If he was involved in that, then a suspension was bound to happen. All right, Masked Singer tonight. It is the Group A finale between Bull and Skunk. And each contestant will sing one solo performance. And then each of them will have a duet. One of the duet people will be Jesse McCartney, who was on The Masked Singer a couple of seasons ago as the turtle. And Michael Bolton will be the other one. I'm interested to see who pairs with who. I'm sure my prediction is that Bolton will go with the skunk and Jesse McCartney will go with the bull. But it's going to be interesting to see who goes home because they're both great singers. And it's going to be really interesting. Someone good's going to have to go home in this episode. And we talked about all the clues. And the one that I think is going to go home is the skunk. And the funny thing is that Bull claims he knows who the skunk is, as he said in one of his clue packages. And I think this is either Tina Turner or Mary J. Blige. I just can't decide on who. But I'm leaning MJB for the time being. I just have to watch tonight's show. And then for Bull, as of right now, I think that this could potentially be like Joe Jonas or somebody in that field. So, obviously, the winner of tonight's Group A finale will take on Queen of Hearts or Banana Split in the Group B finale. And let's face it, it's got to be Queen of Hearts. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer she's going to win. Like, she's this season's version of the Sun. Like, that's how good she is. And honestly, you can make a case she's better than Leanne Rimes at this point. So, it should be a fun episode. I think that the skunk will go home tonight. I think it's going to be a big star underneath the mask. And I'm going to say that it's Mary J. Blige. All right, so that's it. Actually, no, best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. I should say that's it for talking about the Masked Singer. So best bet. It's going to be the Boston Celtics laying the 2.5 at home against the Sixers. The risky thing about this is that Jaylen Brown might not play. Even if he does play, or even if he doesn't play, I still expect Boston to win. They're home. Those fans are going to go crazy. So I'm going to lay a unit on Boston minus 2.5 at home against the Philadelphia 76ers. So there you have it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow recapping everything from tonight, looking ahead to everything tomorrow. And we'll recap Masked Singer as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.